Good Friday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to More Sports and Les Levine, the weekend winners edition. I'm Dave Bacon. The Browns coaching staff is filled out, but it's conference championship time for the NFL. The top four seeds all advance, all with offenses capable of blowing up the scoreboard. We are going to bring in our point spread expert from NFLPickWatch.com, Ryan Fowler. Fowler's 5 this week, and we will start with the two conference championship games. The first one on Sunday afternoon, late in the afternoon, that NFC Conference Championship game, the Rams and the Saints. Ryan, both offenses can get it done. The question is, which one will get it done?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny when we talk about all these offenses, and one of the big storylines going into this game is a defensive player for the New Orleans Saints. Sheldon Rankins, one of their top defensive linemen, is going to be out. He got injured in that Eagles game last week. And you have to look at Rankins and what he brought to the table. Sacks, 8 of them on the season. Run stopper, look at what Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson did last week to a Dallas Cowboys rush defense that I think we could say is better than the Saints rush defense, right? I mean, everything had been around that Cowboys defense. So you take Sheldon Rankins out. So that's a big hole for New Orleans to fill in 1 week. You're not going to be able to do it. You're going to regress to the mean on that side of the line. Now, let's look at the quarterbacks. Jared Goff versus Drew Brees. I'll take Drew Brees on his home field in the playoffs with the experience that he has. Now, the running back, this is where it gets a little tricky because I don't think Todd Gurley is 100%. C.J. Anderson and the workload he had last week, and forget about how he produced. The amount of touches C.J. Anderson got versus what Todd Gurley would have received had C.J. Anderson not played so well over the last month, I think that's a telling sign that, they feel confident in C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley carrying the load. So I don't think it's going to be one. I think it's going to be that 1-2 burst that we saw against the Cowboys again this week against the Saints. And without Rankins, keep that in mind. And then we go wide receivers head-to-head. Now, the Rams have Cook. Brandon Cooks, one of the former New Orleans Saints. So you have the revenge factor, and he had a big game during the regular season against the Saints. You have Robert Woods, who's played consistent as they come. You have Josh Reynolds, and then you have a couple tight ends on the Rams side. Then you go to the New Orleans Saints, and I only laugh because Michael Thomas is the one-man band, right? He can do everything. He catches everything. You have Alvin Kamara, and then who's going to step up for the Saints? You have Ted Ginn. You have the former Ohio State Buckeye, but he's a step or two slower these days. I'm really nervous about that matchup because if the Rams, whose secondary is not very good, can at least slow down Michael Thomas and say, okay, everybody else beat us. Alvin Kamara, maybe, who knows? I think the Rams have the advantage in the passing game inside the dome, and they put up all those points in the second half in their first meeting. With the Rams getting 3.5, not just 3 where a field goal can be a push, I like the Rams here because I think this is going to be one of those scores that you mentioned. They're going to light it up. You're going to hit the over of 57, but I think the Rams keep it close. I like getting that half point. So if it comes down to a field goal win for the Saints, the Rams cover with 3.5. I'll take the Rams to cover on the road in the NFC Championship.
Here are some trends from the two teams as well. Los Angeles 3-0 against the spread in the last 3. Los Angeles 6-3 against the spread, last 9 against the Saints. And the Saints 0-4 against the spread in the last 4. Just kind of adds to what you were thinking as far as, taking the additional half point there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, too, remember, the Saints would have covered against the Eagles had Will Lutz, their kicker, made that 52-yard field goal towards the end of regulation. He missed it. Eagles cover, and then the trend continues for the Saints. And, we talked about it last week where the Saints, I talked about that control-alt-delete. They needed the week off. They still looked a step slow. They came out slow. Brees threw the interception on the opening possession. They fall behind 14-0. It's not a perfect thing going on there right now in New Orleans. They could absolutely win, and they could win the Super Bowl. But I still think there's a couple things missing, and that's because of the limited passing options that Drew Brees has been accustomed to in years past. He doesn't have that this year.
The night game, Patriots and Chiefs, another one, maybe one of the most entertaining games of the season during the regular season. That's the night game, 6:40. New England, 17-8 against the spread, last 25 road games. They won the Week 6 meeting I referenced, 43-40. That was at home in Gillette. And Kansas City just 2-5-1 against the spread in the last 8. What are you thinking in this one, Ryan?
Yeah, and let's give the Chiefs a lot of credit. They took the week off, and anybody who follows the NFL as close as the NFL pundits do, they know when Andy Reid gets that extra week to prepare, their teams are pretty unstoppable. And they came out and kind of flipped the script on what we believed the Colts were going to do. What they were able to do was that defensive line got pressure on Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, he did not look healthy. He did not look crisp. But let's give a lot of credit to the Chiefs defensive line. They pressured, and they're going to have to do that again in this matchup. But I think the big storyline in this Patriots-Chiefs matchup is going to be the weather, right? Cold temperatures. I think they dodged some bullets there where the temperatures was going to be between 0 and 15. Now it's looking like the rain's there today, so you might have a little bit of a sloppy track come Sunday. It's raining all day today, but you have temperatures probably with the late kickoff, 15, 25 degrees, somewhere in that range. And here's the funny thing. Patrick Mahomes, as great as he's been, the coldest game that he's played in his career was just a month ago when they played the Ravens, and that was 28 degrees. Tom Brady and all those veterans on that Patriots team have played in much colder temperatures. They're accustomed to it. The win-loss record on Brady's side when they're playing in those cold temperatures, sample size, all that stuff matters. So don't take that with a grain of salt. Oh, everybody's used to playing in cold. Patrick Mahomes is not. And I think when you look at the athletic ability of Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, those muscles tighten up. I don't care how much of a super athlete you are. When it's cold, it's cold, right? And when you hit the ground a million times in cold weather, that's not fun. So when you're looking at the weather, the point spread's great. Patriots are getting free, yada, yada, yada. But look at the under in this. We all expect a ton of points. But when it gets cold and you look at a lot of these postseason games, it's field position. It's a grinded out game, and you can see a lot of running. So you have a running clock. When the running clock's going, you have a shorter game and less opportunities for teams to score touchdowns. I like the under in this matchup. But again, when it comes down to head-to-head against the spread, you know, Patrick Mahomes has done a lot of great things this season. Tom Brady and what the Patriots did against the Chargers last week, again, recency bias, it proved a lot to me that they are going to adjust on the fly and make the adjustments that they need. So when you saw James White catch 6 passes in like the first 2 minutes of that game, don't be surprised to see the same game plan again this week. Rob Gronkowski, we know Gronk is somebody that can put up huge numbers. He's a pass blocker now. He goes out maybe 3-4 times in a game and catches maybe 25, 40 yards, but he's not a game changer. That could change this week. This is where Belichick is playing chess, not checkers. He's going to get Gronk out into the passing lanes. We talked about it last week. Eric Ebron, he had a few drops, but the tight end for the Colts had a big game, was targeted a bunch. I see Gronkowski getting the same type of workload as Ebron did. They're going to put him out in the passing lanes, and I like, it's cliche, but I like the Patriots, even on the road, getting the 3 to win at Arrowhead and advance to the Super Bowl.
Let's move through your 3 props and wrap things up really quickly. Let's take a look at Fowler's 5. Some of the props, combined yardage, passing, rushing, and receiving. Tom Brady, Sony Michel, Patrick Mahomes, Damian Williams.
And this is where I go against the grain. I think Brady, the experience that he has, gives him an edge over Mahomes. There is a big adjustment to be made. I will take Brady and Michel getting 110 future odds, which means you risk 100 to win 110. If you took Mahomes and Damian Williams, you'd have to risk 150 to win 100. I'll take Brady and Michel.
Well, look at rushing yards. Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson.
So, yes, this is interesting. We talked about Sheldon Rankins at the top, missing one of their best rush blockers or rush defenders, I should say. Todd Gurley is at plus 275. So if you risk 100, you win 275. But if you think there's going to be that time split, C.J. Anderson, who had one of the best games last weekend, is plus 975. So if you risk 100, you win 975. So if you hedge the 2 and went 50-50, you're looking at a pretty good profit. I think if you took both of those at a 50-50 split, you're going to be in pretty good shape moving forward. I like both of those as my top picks as top rushing running back this weekend.
And then Jared Goff, over under 288.5 yards.
Yeah, if you're looking at somebody in the passing game to make a prop bet, look at Jared Goff, and you look at his recent game long. Even though he's going against the Saints, he's not going to put up huge numbers. I don't think this is a 300-yard passing Jared Goff that we saw in the first half of the season. 288 is the over-under, 288.5, pardon me. I'm taking the under on this. I think this is going to be a run game for the Los Angeles Rams just because of what worked last week against the Cowboys. They're going to go back to that with Rankins out. It's going to be a lot of running. I think Jared Goff hits that under.
Ryan Fowler, we appreciate it. Fowler's 5. You can check him out on NFLPickWatch.com as well. Time for us to take a quick timeout. When we return, we'll talk college football, Buckeye style, with Doug Lesmerises, columnist from cleveland.com. You're watching More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Well, it almost seems like free agency has hit college football, particularly where quarterbacks are concerned. Of course, we have Justin Fields transferring from Georgia to Ohio State, waiting to see if he is eligible. We have Tate Martell going from Ohio State to Miami of Florida, and we just found out that Jalen Hurts is transferring from Alabama to Oklahoma. Crazy times in college football. We welcome in cleveland.com's columnist Doug Lesmerises. He knows the Buckeyes as well as anybody. And Doug, how do you sort all this out? It's almost like it's free agency time for the college kids.
Yeah, and then you see Austin Kendall, who was the Oklahoma quarterback, is now transferring to West Virginia. So it's a constant evolution. On one hand, it's a good thing, right, that these kids have some more freedom. The NCAA is relaxing your ability to gain eligibility right away. Of course, there's the grad transfer route, but they're also giving guys a chance through waivers to play right away. And that's a good thing. But as you noted, I actually, now that it's happening, it's a little odd, right? It does almost seem like free agency. And so I don't know if in the end, everybody swapping quarterbacks on a year-to-year basis is the way to go. But you know what? It's probably the right thing for the kids. And when you're the kid, right, the programs are going to be okay. You only get one shot at these. So if you're Tate Martell and Justin Fields is here and you want to play, you probably need to go. So I think we are entering a new era, and I think in the end it's probably the best thing for the players, and that's what matters.
Now, Fields was a highly regarded high school quarterback, wasn't able to dethrone Jake Fromm at Georgia. What has to happen in order for him to be eligible to play for the Buckeyes next season? That's not a lockdown gimme, but it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very likely. It would not have unfolded this way if it wasn't going to happen. So you have to apply for a waiver. There are like basically 4 specifications in this new process of how you can get a waiver to play immediately. And Justin Fields, unfortunately, had an incident at Georgia where there was another student in the stands who yelled the N-word at him during a game. And that incident would probably fall under one of the 4 categories in the waiver process where that would make him uncomfortable or feel unwelcome at his previous school, which would get him eligible at Ohio State right away. So that's just one of those situations where Georgia's not going to want to fight that. The NCAA is not going to want to fight that. And so, again, it's hard to understand on some level because this is all new. This only started last year. This is all new, but there are enough things in the process that you're fairly certain. I think Ohio State's 99.9% certain he's going to be eligible. We saw it with Shea Patterson last year, and so Justin Fields could be eligible before spring practice. He could get that waiver, but even if he doesn't get it until after spring practice, he can go through spring practice, so they'll be able to get him ready for the fall, and he's certainly going to be able to play in 2019.
You look at the guy that was the quarterback for the Buckeyes this year, Dwayne Haskins. No surprise he declared for the NFL draft. A lot of people have him as the first quarterback going in the draft. You saw him a ton. What is there to like about him? How do you think his game transfers to the NFL?
He's an old school NFL quarterback. And so I do have a little bit of a question. It seems like the most successful quarterbacks coming out of college in recent years, Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, a lot of these guys have running ability and pretty good athleticism beyond their throwing ability. And I think Dwayne is not maybe quite the runner and doesn't have quite the mobility on that level. So under pressure, getting out of the pocket on a blitz, on a rush, how's he going to handle that? I think he has to answer that question, but he can sling it. He's accurate. He has a big arm. He can read defenses. He has a great understanding of the game. I think he's going to do great on the whiteboard when he meets with teams at the Combine. So Kyler Murray throws in a monkey wrench a little bit. Kyler Murray is a completely different kind of quarterback, obviously, than Dwayne Haskins. But my bet right now would still be that Dwayne Haskins is the first quarterback off the board in the top 10. And I still think it's possible that in a draft class of quarterbacks that's not as good as last year, we could see a team trade up to try to get him because we know when teams need a quarterback, they go a little crazy for it sometimes. So I think right now you might project him to the Giants at 6 or the Jaguars at 7. but I could see somebody saying, listen, we got to get ahead of the Giants. So we're going to trade up 2 or 3 to try to get him. If he does go to the Giants, he grew up in New Jersey. I think he would love the spotlight of New York. I think New York would love him. And he has a kind of a cool confidence about him. If he goes to New York and you throw him in with Odell and Saquon, I think Dwayne Haskins could blow up very quickly.
Yeah, franchises needing quarterbacks going crazy, huh? Go figure.
Yeah.
I think we're finally not living that here in Cleveland, so that's a good thing. Let's talk a little bit about Ryan Day. Were you surprised at all that he was kind of the only guy they were looking at to replace Urban Meyer? And then let's dovetail into he's put together a pretty good staff.
Yeah, not the GM. It's sort of like John Freddie Kitchens. It's very similar, I think, to Gene Smith and Ryan Day. So the AD, Gene Smith, liked him, and so you can say, well, did that make sense to sort of give him the job without really going through a hiring process? The AD's the guy in charge, and he liked him. So that sort of was the only thing that mattered. It doesn't matter if I would have done that or not. He is viewed as an up-and-comer, although I've reminded people 2 years ago, he was just the fired quarterbacks coach of the San Francisco 49ers, and now he's like the guy that Ohio State couldn't allow to get away. I wrote a story when all this happened. 2 years ago, Freddie Kitchens and Ryan Day were the quarterback coaches of the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers, and who figured that the future of Ohio football was in the NFC West 2 years ago. So things happened very quickly. But he's smart. He's this trend. Freddie Kitchens is the same thing. He's a play caller. He's a former quarterback. Everybody wants that great offensive coordinator, and the best way to get him is to make him your head coach. So there's a lot to like about Ryan Day, and then he wiped out the defensive staff. That was the problem last year. So Greg Schiano's gone. Bill Davis is gone. Tabor Johnson is gone. They were all let go, and then Alex Grinch decided to go to Oklahoma. So he's rebuilt that staff. I think there's questions on that staff, and the big one is Greg Madison, who they took from Michigan. He's a Michigan guy through and through. He worked at Michigan on 2 separate occasions. He's been there the last 8 years. In his career, he worked for the dad, Jack Harbaugh, and both Harbaugh's sons, Jim and John. He is totally connected to Michigan. He also worked for Urban Meyer at Florida. But this guy is blue and amazing blue, baby. And now he's scarlet gray. And so I do think that's a little weird. It's not the first time that somebody has gone from one school to the other in the rivalry. It might be the first. I mean, Bo, right? Michigan's great head coach was an Ohio State assistant. He wasn't at Ohio State for a decade, though. So it's a little strange, and he hasn't been the defensive coordinator at Michigan the last 4 years, and now he's the co-coordinator at Ohio State. So he's been around, he's been good, but he's a Michigan guy who got a promotion to come to Ohio State. So I will be watching that. I think it's interesting. I'm not sure it's guaranteed to work, but the defense has to be better than it was last year, so that's a step up for Ohio State.
Doug Lesmerises from Columbus. Appreciate it very much. Columnist for cleveland.com. You can read them. We appreciate you joining us here on More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. When we return, we'll talk a little soccer. Good things going on down in Columbus with Columbus Crew SC. Dwight Burgess will be joining us. You're watching More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Naturestone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Naturestone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, it has a higher insulation rating than carpet and is warmer than linoleum, vinyl, wood, or tile.
Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today and get up to 50% off.
Naturestone is the affordable basement floor solution that beautifies your home. Naturestone, the only concrete solution.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Note to owners of professional sports franchises, if you're going to take a team and leave Ohio, the fan base is going to fight you back. In '95, it was the Browns that drove the NFL crazy, ended up getting an expansion team back a few years later. This year, it was the Columbus Crew who ended up keeping the Crew in Columbus. So Columbus Crew SC still their new ownership group, and we are pleased to be joined by the longtime voice of the Columbus Crew, Dwight Burgess. Dwight, take me through the reaction to the city keeping the team where it belongs in Columbus.
An amazing 14-month ride, Dave. It's you don't expect to see this in this day and age in this country of ours, but the fans spoke up and the local community took notice of that, and they began to get together and combine resources. And I think while it gets lost in the shuffle, a lot of frustration with the league and how this was all handled, we have to remember that MLS's willingness to listen to this new group and give them an opportunity was a big piece of the puzzle as well. But I think this is a story that's going to resonate on a lot of levels, potentially for a long time.
Now, the new ownership group, the Haslams, the majority owners, Mr. Smith down in Columbus, a minority owner, went out and hit a home run, I think, with the president and the head coach, Caleb Porter and Tim Bezbachenko, both with Northeast Ohio and Central Ohio ties. What has the reaction been to the structure that has been put in place for Columbus Crew SC moving forward?
Well, I think you're bringing up a great point, Dave, and there's a number of things to think about. First of all, with the transition that the Cleveland Browns have been making as of late, there is a really positive vibe around that organization and, of course, the Haslam family at the front. Pete Edwards in Columbus, among those that's been deeply involved, like myself, been around with the organization since the beginning in 1996. They've taken a lot of really good steps. They've combined resources. They connected with the community and the county. There's going to be a new training facility that will serve not just the team, but the entire Central Ohio area. Brand new stadium downtown, kind of finishing off the triangle of Nationwide Arena and then the Clippers AAA baseball park. But the next step was, well, what about the team? Because that's what the fans really want to know most. And all they did was bring in a guy in Caleb Porter, who's won at every level at which he's ever coached, including raising the cup at Moffray Stadium in Columbus, defeating the Crew there in December of 2015. So that's huge. And then Tim is going to come in and run. This is a guy that grew up in Columbus, played soccer at DeSales High School. That is a traditional boys Division II high school power in the state of Ohio. So you've got a winning commodity. You've got a guy that knows the state and has been successful both in the league office and with Toronto FC. It's just been one home run after the next.
Now, Caleb Porter also won a national championship at Akron, built that program. He pretty much could have gone anywhere he wanted to go. He chose to Columbus. How big of an important piece is that? And what does he walk into as far as roster and style of play goes with Columbus Crew SC?
Well, I think it's a huge statement, Dave. I think it's an absolutely massive statement. This is a guy, Caleb Porter, as I said, he's known success everywhere he's been, not only the national championship at Akron, won the MLS Cup. He was also the U.S. men's Olympic team coach at one time and has accomplished enough that he gets to be a little bit choosy at this stage of his career. And he bypassed other opportunities within the league, such as a big market Los Angeles Galaxy club, to be in Columbus. That is an important statement. He inherits a roster that is largely intact from the past couple of seasons. There are commonalities between the way he plays and the way Greg Berhalter before him played. So I'd be surprised if we see any major changes roster-wise initially, but there are going to be, I think, some tweaks here and there as to how they actually play.
Dwight Burgess, longtime voice of the Columbus Crew SC. We appreciate the time. Thanks very much, and I'm sure we'll be checking in with you as things move forward with the Crew down in Columbus.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
We're going to take a quick time out, just a few weeks until spring training. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting in a couple of weeks. We'll talk Indians when we return. It's More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
Here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
It takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling to bring the heat when things get chilly. Find us at 440-449-HEAT.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Indians pitchers and catchers will report to Goodyear, Arizona, and get spring training underway in about 4 weeks. The Indians still have some work to do on the roster. The biggest area of concern has to be the outfield. If we look at the 40-man roster and the outfielders currently on that 40-man roster, Leonys Martin, the most experienced. He's been 5 big league seasons in the big leagues. After that, it's Tyler Naquin. Then when you get down to Bowers, Allen, and Luplow, less than a year of big league experience. Mercado hasn't made his major league debut. You look at the free agents that are available on the market. After Bryce Harper signs, this market will kind of shake out. Indians nowhere near that market. A.J. Pollock and Marwin Gonzalez, probably $8-9 million a year for multiple years. Indians aren't going to be in that price range. Some of the other guys, potentially. The opportunity exists for a young guy, a guy like Jake Bowers, who the Indians traded for in the Yandy Diaz deal with Tampa. Now, he was in the big leagues, called up in June, hit about 255, 5 home runs. First month he was called up. After the All-Star break, different story. Hit just 167 and struck out nearly 1 in every 3 at-bats. But the trade to the Indians, Bowers views it as an opportunity to get some playing time with a really good team.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Like you said, opportunity I think is the right word. I've played in the playoffs pretty much every year. I think last year was the first year I didn't get to play in the playoffs, so hopefully that trend continues and I get to play in some October baseball.
Do you have a preference as to where you play or how comfortable are you at both positions or the positions?
Whatever gets me on the field. I think that's a pretty standard answer, and but it is the truth. Whatever gets me on the field, whatever gets me in the lineup, and whatever gets me to contribute to help this team.
Last year started off really good, and then the second half probably not what you wanted. Did you learn some things though from going through that?
Well, yeah, learned a ton, and I think I'm confident in the adjustments that I'm making with my swing, and confident that it's going to translate well. And so I'm excited to get out to spring training and see what happens.
What about coming to this organization? It's one that's, and I know Tampa Bay is another one that's pretty good, but coming to this organization and, that pitching, you got to be happy you don't have to face the starting pitching that you're not playing for. What about this organization being a part of it?
Yeah, like you said, just a good clubhouse, a good group of guys, and so, I'm excited to, like I said, get to spring, play some games, and see where everything falls, and like you said, opportunity is the right word, and I'm excited for this one.
Type of hitter you are. Everybody kind of knows what they do, so the Indians fans realize what type of hitter are you when you're going well.
I'm just going to overall be doing pretty well. I think, for me, if left center is open and that's where my swing's taking me, that's when I'm going to be the best. And last year, towards the end of the year, just started pulling off way too much and pulling some balls that I shouldn't have been. And so that's what I'm working to get back to is using the whole field. Gap-to-gap
guy, extra bases, and there's some opportunity to drive in runs with the guys that are probably hitting in front of you as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think you said it, gap-to-gap, and I think, last year before, obviously, went on the All-Star break and came back not so good. I was getting a lot of extra base hits, and I think that's where I'm going to be.
And Jake Bowers will get every opportunity to earn a spot in the Indians lineup. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. When we return, we'll get some action, an update on the Mid-American Conference. More Sports and Les Levine Weekend Winners Edition continues. Stay with us.
The concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Nature Stone flooring. Reduce tracked-in dirt, eliminate puddling and salt damage. Plus, Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping.
Call or go to naturestone.com to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get up to 50% off.
Nature Stone is the affordable garage floor solution that beautifies your home. Nature Stone, the only concrete solution.
Did you know that Kentucky is home to nearly 1,000 species of wildlife?
The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has a team of scientists dedicated to the monitoring and study of animals that are not hunted, fished, or trapped.
We work every day to improve Kentucky's landscape so that these species can thrive.
And now there's a way for you to jump in and help.
When you become a member of Kentucky Wild, we'll work side by side and do our part to keep Kentucky wild.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Well, we're going to get some winter maction, men's and women's basketball conference play in full swing, but there's plenty more going on in the Mid-American Conference. Heather Klatt has it in this week's Mac Tracks.
Hey guys, it's Heather, and here's your Mac Track for the week. We are in full Maction mode. We have track and field back up. We have swim and dive that's happening. Wrestling's underway. Gymnastics just started back up. So we're gonna jump right in and get you caught up on everything you need to know. Starting off over in the pool, Akron's women's swimming team participated in a mystery meet. The non-traditional format had preset lineups, but the swimmers did not know which race they were swimming until the scorers table drew the event from a hat and announced it out loud. Akron head coach Brian Parisi said it gave the swimmers a chance to not have the normal stresses they might experience while getting ready for their normal races. Instead, it was a different kind of stress that they got the opportunity to experience in the competition. The Zips topped host Duquesne 247 to 154. Buffalo men continue to jump in the national rankings, this week moving up to number 16 in the AP Top 25. This is a 10th straight week UB is in the polls, which is the second longest run by a MAC program in league history. Buffalo sits on top of the MAC East at 4-0, along with Bowling Green, who rolled along to their 8th straight victory this week, taking down Ball State 79-78. As a conference, both the men and women sit in the top 10 of the net rankings and RPI, each coming in at 8th. Last week we told you about Sierra Dillard's record-setting 43-point game. This week she's pulling national recognition for that accomplishment. The Rochester, New York native was named ESPNW's National Player of the Week and is an honoree in the NCAA's starting 5. Want to give another shout out to Western Michigan's Jasmine Walker, who eclipsed the 1,000 career point mark. And after this week's midweek Maction, every team has at least one loss, so things are going to be interesting with 14 games left until the 2019 MAC tournament. Major League Soccer hosted their Super Draft in Chicago last weekend, and the MAC saw 5 student athletes selected. Akron goalkeeper Ben Lunt and midfielder Abdi Mohammed highlighted the field, being taken in the second round by FC Cincinnati and New York FC respectively. Our tweet of the week comes from Adam Langford. He says, just sitting at my desk thinking about Taco John's Taco Tuesday before Maction later. Tacos on a Tuesday, Maction in the midweek. Some things are just meant for each other. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Heather. We appreciate it. We will be checking in with Heather each and every week for a Mid-American Conference update. We're all out of time on this edition of More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Stick around. Bill Castrovince will join me. The High School Sports Insider is straight ahead. Have a great week, everybody.
Keep it simple.
Leaders lead. Leaders lead.
Let's go! Stop whining!
Again, go again, yes! You gotta rotate, go, Stone!
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum News One, always Ohio, always refreshing, always on, exclusively on Spectrum. By Dominion East Ohio, Dominion, it all starts here. and by Classic Teleproductions. February is closing in. That means the winter sports are getting closer to tournament mode and those important conference championships. We promise to continue to bring you the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio. Thanks for joining this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Along with Bill Castrovince, I'm Dave Bacon.
On today's show, we'll meet a state champ who's looking for another title. And we have a rising star who's flying high with the Golden Eagles. Plus, we'll hit the court to meet one team that's reloaded and another team that's bringing the D.
We hit the water to begin tonight. Jay Johnson came up through the Hudson Youth Swimming Program and is rewriting the record books at Hudson High School. Johnson was a state champ in the 100 free last year as a junior. In this, his senior season, Johnson has among the fastest times in the state in 6 different events. In the classroom, Johnson is a star as well. Jay Johnson, our Ohio Lottery Partners in Education Shining Star. As a junior last season, Hudson's Jay Johnson achieved one of his major goals. He won a state championship in the 100 freestyle and saw an incredible amount of hard work pay off.
It has been my goal since I was in the 8th grade. I saw the great swimmers that Matt was putting out, and I wanted to be one of them, and I wanted to win states. And my sophomore year, my grandfather passed away like 3 or 4 days before the state meet. So I wanted to come back and kind of honor his memory and do something really special.
He started coaching when he was 10, 11 years old, and we just told him, man, you got some potential. We just got to swim big. We just got to figure it out. And he slowly grasped the sport. Once he got into high school, he was excited to be a part of the team, and I couldn't be more proud to see him on the top of the podium.
This success has driven Johnson to work even harder in his senior season, and the results continue to be impressive. Jay has top 3 times in the state in all 4 of the freestyle events this year. He also broke a pool record at Hudson in the 200 free, a record set in the 1990s by one of the program's legendary swimmers.
Going through this swimming program through Heat and through the high school, you know who Scott Claypool is, and you know that he's a great swimmer, and so having the ability to take down some of his records is really just something really cool.
Jay is just as good in the classroom as he is in the pool. He has above a 4.5 GPA in accelerated classes at Hudson and chose Ohio State over a number of other scholarship offers.
Being close to home is actually one of the big things about Ohio State, because I had looked at some other schools like Cal and Stanford, but they were just a little far. And so the ability of swimming with a really good program, they just changed over coaching, and I'm really excited with where the program's looking to head, and with all the recruits they're pulling in, I think we have a chance to do something really good and bring something for the state of Ohio.
He's smart. He wants to do it for the team. Every day he asks me, how was that practice? He wants to get better every single day, whether it's that or whether it's in school. He's just very driven. He grew up in a great family. His 2 older siblings swam for us. I think he benefited from that because he was around our program from an early age, saw what some of the older kids had done when he was a young kid, and he just wanted to be a part of that. And the crazy thing is now he's what everybody wants to be.
Right now I'm leaning towards political science, and I'll be taking some courses in some of the other social studies classes like philosophy and maybe anthropology, stuff like that. Grades are really important to me. That's part of the reason why I chose Ohio State, just because I know I'll be going somewhere that I'll do really well academically, and it'll push me forward into any career I want to, because I know I obviously can't swim forever.
If you know a student like Jay who deserves recognition, we want to hear about them. Log on to OhioLottery.com, head to the About section, find the Supporting Education tab, and nominate that student as an academic all-star. They could end up on the High School Sports Insider as our next shining star.
Today we celebrate an athlete who plays 2 sports, and both of them are pretty brutal. Going from football right into wrestling is a tough turnaround, but Seamus O'Malley has been doing it for 4 years at St. Ed's. Fresh off a state title and a scholarship to a great school, O'Malley has one more goal he wants to achieve this winter. Here's Seamus O'Malley, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. Seamus O'Malley wants to go back-to-back. After winning a state championship in football, he's got his eye on a wrestling title.
I guess my mindset still changes to this. It still has that championship attitude, but at the same time, it's just a little more grit in the wrestling room.
In the fall, O'Malley was a force on the St. Ed's defensive line. He led the team in a number of stats, like quarterback hits. But his favorite play came in Week 4 against Cincinnati Elder in the pit.
It was like the 6th play of the game, and they just fumbled it, and like not too many people knew it was a fumble, and I just picked it up with my 2 hands and just like got kind of a head start to run 53 yards and score that touchdown where I dove at the pylon. So it was really awesome.
He was clutch in the state finals too. Seamus had a pair of sacks late in the game to clinch the D1 title, just like his older brother. Mike O'Malley was a star on defense when the Eagles went back-to-back in 2014 and 15.
So my older brother, Michael O'Malley, was the Defensive Player of the Year his senior year, and I know he got a couple sacks in the state championship game, so definitely living up to that was quite awesome.
Seamus has 5 brothers, and 3 of them are younger than him. And because of them, he has a 4.5 GPA.
And they kind of motivate me to like become a better student athlete and kind of like show my younger brothers how to do it and then kind of like get better than my older brothers who have done it before me.
To that end, O'Malley announced in October he will wrestle at Stanford next year. Sure, football was fun, but his heart is on the mat and in the classroom.
He's lanky. He knows how to use his length. He's what I call he's deceptively strong. If he ever gets his hands locked on you, you're done. He's a lot stronger than he looks.
I think that going to Stanford, like just the school-wise, like how they combine their academics and athletics, to me was just like the #1 goal throughout my high school career. So it's kind of like where I shot towards, and I landed it.
Seamus could have gotten a football scholarship as a long snapper, but hey, wrestling at Stanford is pretty cool too. Good luck to him in California next year.
We're just getting things rolling on this week's show. When we return, we'll head to the court with a group of Rangers who are earning their stripes and check in on some Grizzlies who are always tough. The High School Sports Insider will be right back.
The best thing Tri-C did for me was give me opportunities. The workforce program prepared me for the career I have now. I got a job in the aerospace industry where I work on CNC machines. I have 3 younger brothers. I want to teach my brothers, hard work actually pays off. Come to Tri-C. It's a great stepping stone to wherever you're trying to get to in life. My name is Chris Grooms, and I got my start at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Thanks for hanging with us on this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Lakewood has been one of the early season surprises in boys basketball in Northeast Ohio. Lakewood's calling card, a physical, tough, aggressive defense that's just no fun to play against. Lakewood is hoping to keep things rolling through conference play and into what they expect will be a deep playoff run. We have an all-access look at Lakewood's boys basketball team. Size and athleticism go a long way in high school basketball, and Lakewood High School felt this season would be special because the Rangers are big, athletic, and deep. Lakewood is off to a promising start and hoping to keep things rolling.
You can only dream of a team like this. You got 5 guys over 6'5". You got a 6'6" point guard. You got guys that are listed as power forwards and centers that can really play point guard or shooting guard. I mean, this team is a blessing in disguise. And then you got guys off the bench with high energy that come in and match the intensity of our first group. It's a lot of fun to coach this group. This group works hard. These are the type of kids you got to kick out the gym.
These Rangers are a senior-laden team. Some of the guys are getting their first taste of the varsity level, and others have plenty of experience.
Strengths, I think we could really get the ball inside and really cause a lot of problems for defenses. Also, we like to get out and run. And also, defense, our whole team is centered around defense. Our ability to hold teams to 40, 45 points a game, I think that's really what we do.
The defense creates offense mindset is apparent in Lakewood's attack. the Rangers also move the ball very well and are unselfish.
We're really just trying to go out and make the right play. Like nobody's really has the mindset, oh, I'm going to go get 20, I'm going to go get 25 tonight. I think we're just, our whole mindset is, the mission is to win. That's really what it's about.
Last year, Lakewood lost in the district semis to St. Ed's. This year, they're focused on improving every day, even though they're off to a very good start and ranked as one of the top teams in Northeast Ohio.
We got to get better at handling pressure. I think handling pressure and like our offensive execution is going to take us pretty far. So I think that's what we're trying to work at the most during practice. We do a lot of half-court execution, and that's just what we're trying to get done.
Hard work year-round is paying off on the court for the Rangers, and with success comes a belief in the team.
I think our confidence is definitely rising. I think like beating Olmsted Falls gave us a lot of confidence. I think because last year that was a team we lost to one time, and I think beating them the first time we were just like, okay, we know where we stand. Like we can win the conference, like win it ourselves and not share it. And then we played Lorraine in the summer, and we beat Lorraine, and we were like, okay, so we can definitely make a run for state.
On the girls' side, there are some hungry bears lurking in the brackets. Wodsworth won a state title in 2016, and the Lady Grizzlies went to the Final Four last year. So the seniors have accomplished a lot, but they also have some help this year. Let's travel to Medina County and meet the Wodsworth Grizzlies, our team of the week. Wodsworth began the season with a clean slate after going to the Final Four last year.
We had 5 kids graduate last year. All 5 are playing in college, so obviously we're pretty proud of those kids. But, you take 5 kids off of a very successful team, 4 of which were starters. And I wouldn't say you're starting from scratch.
Overall, I would say our motto is we have Grizzly attitude. It's always about attitude. We want to get better every day.
But the cupboard isn't bare. 6 Grizzlies earned a letter last season, and the pieces seem to fit.
A lot of us that were on the varsity team last year as juniors are coming in this year with a lot of varsity experience. So I think that does make us stronger for this year.
We're on different ends of the spectrum, if that makes sense. Some of us are more hyperactive here and more mellow, so we all kind of even each other out and can kind of control things on and off the court.
There are a lot of Cubs in the program too, with 14 freshmen.
Working with the freshmen, they're so eager to learn, and that just makes them so much more fun to work with, because you get to tell them something and they're not going to take it to heart and be like, yeah, she just went and yelled at me. No, they're thinking, yeah, she's yelling at me to get me to be better so I can be where she is in 4 years.
The Grizzlies have gotten to the Final Four in 2 of the last 3 years. And they've been downright dominant in the Suburban League, winning or sharing the title in 24 of the last 26 seasons. Not to mention, Andrew Booth has been the head coach for the last 14 years.
We do everything for him. He gives us everything that he has, and we try to perform our best for him, and we all love him. He's he's one of our biggest inspirations.
Coach Booth is a great coach. He has supported me and helped me get better since freshman year. And I could say that my improvement has a lot to do with him.
I think we've improved every game, and I think we're pretty excited about where we're going, because I think we've just started to scratch the surface of what we can become.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. What a deal, I know. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
Coming up next, we'll meet the latest basketball star from Glen Oak High School. And our Insider Classic is making history at that school up north. The details are next.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can
get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can
intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for riding shotgun with us. Glen Oak's boys basketball team has been a little up and down this season, and that's to be expected. 2 of the Golden Eagles' best players are freshmen. One of the ninth graders, Raymar Pryor, has an all-around game that has already earned him a couple of Division I scholarship offers. Pryor can score, but he takes plenty of pride in playing tough, aggressive defense. Raymar Pryor from Glen Oak, our Spectrum News 1 Game Breaker. Watch number 11 for Glen Oak, and there's a certain polish and smoothness to his game. Raymar Pryor looks effortless on the court at times. The surprising part of it, Pryor is a ninth grader who's talented beyond his years.
The thing that impresses me about Raymar is he's just such a competitor, and we're trying to figure out how to channel that into all the positive ways and kind of get rid of some of the negative aspects of how that kid competes. But I'll take a kid that just wears that competitive flow on his sleeve everywhere he goes. He hates to lose, and you can always count on a great effort from him.
I just want to see the floor real well, get my teammates the ball, get us looks, and I'm just trying to be a playmaker, just get everybody a ball, and just score and get us a win. What I do is, like you said, I go with the flow, and then if I don't have it, I pass it out, and then we set up the offense again, we run it back, see if I can get a good shot. That's all I do.
Pryor is one of two freshmen and a sophomore who see significant playing time for the Golden Eagles this year. He's extremely talented. His competitive nature extends to all aspects of the game. For a younger player, his defense is very good.
I take very much pride in it. I love it very much. I love defense. I like it more than offense a little bit, I say. I like getting blocks, I like getting steals.
He can really just sit down in a stance, and as athletic as he is, it can be really intimidating at times. So we challenge him a lot. We ask him for a lot. We put him at the top of our 1-3-1 zone and ask him to chase guys around. And, for as much as we ask of him, it's nice to see him meet that challenge.
Pryor already has a couple of mid-major Division I scholarship offers, and that number will undoubtedly grow. He has the ability to score and affect the game in every facet. The key is he has the work ethic and mindset that he wants to get better and better.
He's got to get his shooting locked down. All right, he has some great games where he really knocks them down. I'd love to see that confidence in shooting the ball. But, in the open court, he's dynamite. Running passing lanes, he's dynamite.
I need to get better at my ball handling a little bit more. Came through the summer, went in the gym every day, ball handling, shooting. That's what I've been working on.
It's time to dig into our archives for this week's Insider Classic. While growing up at Chagrin Falls, Hallie Thome dreamed about playing in the WNBA. Well, that dream is getting close to reality. A four-year starter at Michigan, the 6'5" center is averaging 15 points a game, and she's closing in on 2,000 for her career. Hallie is also a two-time first-team All-Big Ten selection. She was also Miss Basketball in Ohio while playing for the Tigers with her twin sister Hannah. Let's go back to 2015 as Hallie Thome becomes an Insider Classic. They were born to be teammates, and sure enough, the Thome twins, Hallie and Hannah, have become a dynamic duo for Chagrin Falls.
We'll just look at each other and we'll know what each other's thinking. We've been with each other for our whole lives, so we're really close and we get each other.
Hallie was born first, and they're actually fraternal twins, and they couldn't be any more different.
They have different personalities, different looks, different heights, and they're twins, they're a package deal, but we do treat them as individuals and understand, they've got their own style and their own sense of the game.
Most people think they're sisters or best friends. When they started playing basketball, they were forced to play against each other, and Hannah had the upper hand.
Because in CAA, my mom wouldn't let us be on the same team. So we'd always go against each other, and every time my team would lose, because I'd guard Hannah because I'd want to guard my sister, and she would just kick my butt.
Eventually, Hallie grew taller, standing 6 feet tall in the 6th grade. Now she is 6'5", so naturally, she was recruited first.
I remember when I did my first phone call, it was to Nebraska, and I was upstairs in my mom's bedroom with her, and they're asking me questions, telling me I just got a full scholarship, and I'm just wait, what?
Their junior season turned out to be the toughest one. Hallie tore her ACL early on and missed the entire season.
So for me, the way that I made it through, and I felt I made it go so fast, so just the positive outlook, realizing this happened for a reason. I'm gonna make the best of it.
For For the first time ever, it was just Hannah on the court, and she rose to the challenge. At 6'1", she developed into a versatile guard, and she was named MVP of the conference.
Before I was more of an outside player. We had Hallie in the post, we had her there to rebound, and then when she left I had to post up more and I was more of a rebounding person, so it really helped me improve my game in different aspects.
The Thome twins are now embracing their final season together. They decided a long time ago they should go to different schools. Hallie has given a verbal commitment to play at Michigan. Hannah is going to be a Bobcat at Ohio University. There will be 266 miles between them, but they'll always be teammates.
We're really, really close, but we need to be able to be our own person and establish our own lives, and so by going to different colleges, that'll help us.
And with technology and everything, I could FaceTime her, I can Snapchat her. So it's we'll still be so close even though we're far away.
We want you to get more involved in the show, and you can through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas or your pictures or your video showing your school spirit, and we'll use it in a future show. We're still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
But stick around. The tweets of the week are coming up next.
Before I decided to go back to Tri-C to become a nurse, I was a stay-at-home mom. Absolutely wanted to be a pediatric nurse. I love taking care of kids. If you're thinking about changing your career or changing your path, go to Cuyahoga Community College. I feel like I'm in a great place in my life. I have 3 great kids. I have a great job that I love. I could not have done it without Tri-C. My name's Diana Geary. I earned my nursing degree from Cuyahoga Community College.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back inside the High School Sports Insider. We're running a little tight on time on this week's show, but we always have time to find out what's on your mind. There's a few rules, and by now you know them. You have to use 280 characters or less. Video or pictures are even better. It's time for the tweets of the week. Take a look at the handiwork of the Alter High School football and basketball players. They built a 10-foot abominable snowman at the high school. Congrats to St. Ignatius head hockey coach Pat O'Rourke. He notched career win number 400. And the University School hockey team volunteered to spend some time at the Cleveland Kids Book Bank. They brought along some stuffed animals to help out. They encouraged underprivileged kids to read. Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or your pictures or your video showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Hashtag HSSI Ohio. We'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the tweets of the week. And now we are officially all out of time on this week's show. Before we go, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us. We hope to see you back here next week, same time, same place, when again we'll have some of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
Thanks for watching, and thank you for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.